Hi, welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, episode 88. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at the Corner of Knit and Tea, and that's where this episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Stash Buckler, Adventures in Yarn, and we have a Ravelry group called the Corner of Knit and Tea. If you haven't come over to join us, please do. Hi! How are you? It has been a bit of a crazy weekend and I am feeling a little discombobulated, so we'll have to see how today's podcast goes, but I didn't want to not bring you a podcast. So here we go. It is Sunday, May 15th, and it has been a busy week and kind of a crazy busy weekend. If you follow my Instagram feed, you'll know that my husband ran a half marathon yesterday and he did great. He actually ran another half marathon almost 10 years ago when we were dating. And 10 years later, he beat his time by 15 minutes. He came in 2 hours and 16 minutes yesterday. And so that was yesterday morning, and then we let him get cleaned up and fed him, and the rest of the day we just puttered around a little bit. My in-laws came to see him watch the race, so they were here all weekend, which is always a weekend. And today, my husband went drone racing, and unfortunately he didn't get to race his aircraft, but we watched a lot of fun races today. I got a ton of knitting done. Part of the reason I'm a little discombobulated is because I got a lot of sun today. My arms are super sunburned from where I was sitting in the sun. I knew to wear a hat to shade my face, but I didn't remember to bring sunscreen for my arms, and so they're super burned and they hurt. And you know that general feeling of like not quite right that you get when you've gotten all sunburned and you're a little dehydrated. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at, but I have some fun things to show you. I have a couple knitting projects where I've made some progress. I have a couple spins to show you, 2 finished spins. One was mostly done last week, but I hadn't plied yet. I will show you the fiber coming up for this week, and at the very end of the episode, I will draw for the 700 plus subscriber giveaway. So it is going to be a busy episode. I don't know how long it will be, but let's go ahead and get into it. I went searching through my teas today and tried to decide what I wanted to drink. It is not super warm today. It is like in the 60s. It was very nice while we were out this afternoon, but it's not super cold or super hot, so I couldn't exactly decide what I wanted. And then I decided to make another pitcher of iced tea. And I went through my teas, and even though it's not very seasonal, I went ahead and took, I wanted to see if the cranberry spice hibiscus would be a good iced tea. This is the Republic of Tea. It is one of their holiday blends. You can see it says Merry and Bright Herb Tea. It's a caffeine-free blend of hibiscus, cranberries, and spices. Let's see if I can get more. Hibiscus, cinnamon, ginger, carob, apple bits, sweet blackberry leaves, cardamom seeds, natural cranberry, cinnamon, chicory root, pepper, cloves, cranberry, and star anise. So that is the Republic of Tea Cranberry Spice Hibiscus. I don't know if they have this one year round. I know, like I said, I purchased it as a holiday tea. I made a whole bunch in my tea pitcher, and then I poured some over ice in my Minions mug, like I often do when it's iced, and I was hoping for a little bit of sweet and savory, and I think this will fit the bill. Yeah, that is really nice iced. Like I said, it's got a little bit of a savory because it's got all the spices in it, but the cranberry and the hibiscus make it kind of a light fruity tea, which I really like. So hopefully that will rehydrate me a bit. And again, that's cranberry spice hibiscus. I'll put the links to that in the show notes. So let's go into the knitting. I have a very almost finished knit for you. I believe I have finished most of the knitting. Well, okay, let's go into it. I finished both sleeves this week. I am super thrilled because I did their full-length sleeves. The parts that I have not done at this point are the finishing work. For instance, there is the picot edge on the sleeves, and I have not tacked that down yet. I meant to bring my notions kit with me today so I could do all the finishing work while we were sitting outside, and I forgot the kit. You will also notice that I have a variety of ends from various places, so that is what remains to be done. So this is the Frost at Midnight cardigan. It is by Kate Davies. It is part of her Yokes collection, which is a book of all kinds of sweaters featuring yokes. I am knitting this in the beautiful lace weight Manos del Uruguay. It is Merino, which is superwash merino singles, and it is a lovely, lovely lace weight. And I knit the sweater pattern and used pearlized beads. And so it is almost done. I have ends to weave in. Now, as I told you last week, the yoke top seems to be quite big. And I did take it to knit night this week and received a few suggestions from friends on how I might fix that. So my current plan is to do all the finishing work on this sweater this evening, wash it and block it and see what I come out with. And then, if necessary, maybe do some fixing. One of the ideas that was suggested was that I could simply fold now I had already done the front and the picot hems on the front. As I said, I'll need to weave in ends and block, so this will lay flat. So I will show you finished next week. One of the suggestions was that I just took in the fronts a little bit, i.e. folded down where the tree was and just pinned that to the inside and then picked up and cast on for the picot hem again. That might help. What I need to see is if that will distort the sweater, because the sweater fronts are approximately the same width as the back. And so my concern is that if I shorten the front and pull it together, that it's going to make it stretch weird over the shoulders. I don't know if that makes sense. But so I do need to kind of take a look at that. I am on gauge and I checked the pattern, and a number of people had trouble with the yoke coming out big. So my suspicion is that it is probably somewhat a pattern problem, although I won't rule out that I may have done something. The Manos del Uruguay Marina is absolutely gorgeous. It comes 875 yards to the skein. Like I said, it is a superwash merino single. It is super, super soft and luscious. I was a little nervous knitting a sweater out of it. I had recently taken a class by the Yarn Harlot that talked quite seriously about matching your yarn to your project, and I had already picked out the yarn and project beforehand, and when I got home I thought, wow, maybe I didn't do that right. But the single held up beautifully. I did have to rip at several points or tink back, and the single, while a little fuzzy and sticking to itself a little bit, wasn't super fuzzy, and even when I ripped I could use it again. So the yarn is just gorgeous, and I definitely have to thank the US distributor of Manos del Uruguay for sending it to me. I did receive this yarn free of charge. The pattern and the beads were all my own purchasing. And like I said, the colorway is Arboretum, which I think that's a pretty good match. I'll have to take some more pictures. It is just beautiful, beautiful greens. Everything from kind of a mint to a olive to a darker forest green. And I just really wanted to do it with pearlized beads, and I think that was the perfect way to do it. I am showing you the back only because I have not put fasteners on the front. So like I said, plan for tonight is to do all of the finishing work. Then I will go ahead and block it, and then I will determine what, if anything, I'm going to do further to it. I do have 2 small little balls of yarn left. For a while I said that I was not sure whether I was going to have enough yarn. I totally had enough yarn. When I started the sleeves, I weighed the 2 balls that I had, and they were each 35 grams. So I was like perfectly on track with the sleeves, and I probably used about half of what was left, or maybe 2/3, but I'm not sure. So I have plenty if I decide to pick up and redo the picot hem in the button bands. So that is the sweater as it stands. Next week, I promise to show it to you finished, and I may go and get some hook and eyes just so that I can, because that's where I was thinking about, or what kind of fasteners I was thinking about doing. Right here, I was thinking about just putting a few up at the top with the trees. So that is my cardigan basically done. You will see it one more time next week. You will see photos on Instagram, but that one is put to bed, and I could not be more pleased with it. And if I decide that the yoke's too big, I will find someone that fits. So that one is almost finished. And yes. So I did purchase an extra skein of this yarn, and so I now have it for a giveaway. I also misunderstood the amount the beads came in, so I have extra beads. So I am going to start a thread on Ravelry for a giveaway, so look for that along with the episode thread, and you can enter into a raffle to win this beautiful lace weight, and I will throw in a box or two of beads, of these pearlized beads, and you certainly, you won't be able to knit the sweater with just one skein, but you could certainly knit a beautiful beaded shawl. Like I said, it is 875 yards. So I didn't remember to bring that over. I can see it on the table right behind the computer, but I will take a photo and put that in the Ravelry thread and give you some kind of prompt, and I will leave that open for a week and draw for a winner next week. So, done. Okay, so that brings me to what I'm knitting next. I did not do any work on my Party Cove shawl. That will be this week's task and priority, but since I had lots of spare time while my husband was running yesterday and my mother-in-law was talking to me, and a whole bunch of time today, and I needed a fairly simple project, I worked on my socks. So I am using the Vanilla is the New Black pattern by Annie Fletcher, and it is mostly a vanilla sock with a slightly different heel than I am used to. It is, I believe, a free pattern on Ravelry, but I won't give too many details. This is beautiful yarn from Show Me Yarns. It is their boot heel base and the Aunt Gigi colorway, which has, it's not showing up quite right on the monitor. It's a bright purple, which is very close to the bright pink, and then the green, and then it's got charcoal stripes. And as you can see, the Vanilla is the New Black has a very interesting ribbed heel and then heel turn. And what I did to preserve the striping pattern was I went ahead and knit, I continued to knit the arch and the heel gusset with the regular striping, so you can see the stripes got just a smidge thinner. But then when I did the heel turn and the gusset basically to bring the stitches back down, I went ahead and used the other end of the ball so as not to disturb the stripe progression. So now I can just continue on in the perfect stripe progression, and it actually worked out where I ended at black, so even that worked perfectly. So I will work on this a little longer down through the foot, and then I will need to do a second one. I am hoping to finish these by the end of the month. These are super fun socks, and I love stripy sock yarn because I feel like I can just knit just one more stripe, just one more stripe, just one more stripe. So I'll be working on this week with my Party Cove shawl, and I will definitely have this sock finished next week and hopefully have the next sock started. Again, I'm trying to finish this one and the Party Cove shawl by the end of the month. The shawl for the Corner of Knit and Tea and Woolly Wonka Fibers shawl knit along, and the socks for Wolf Farms knit along, and there are a bunch of other people who are doing sock knit alongs, and I am also participating in Stash Dash, so I am hoping to not finish these before, I believe it kicks off on the 27th, and so they will be one of my first cast-offs for that, I hope. So that is what I've got going on, and that is all the knits. Like I said, I will work on my Party Cove shawl, which leaves me the only other knit is Hilda. And I hope to get some work in on that, but if I don't make that by the end of the month, I will be fine. So upcoming knitted projects, and I am super excited about these. I have decided, well, okay, there are a variety of things. First of all, my sister has announced that she is pregnant again. She is going to have a baby boy, so I will have a nephew in late October or early November. So she and I have been talking and strategizing, and I wasn't sure whether they used the blanket that I knit for when Roxy was born that much. And so I asked her, I had sort of been planning to not do another blanket for the new baby, because the blanket that I did for Roxy was a dark teal color. It was Madeline Tosh, and it was the Cousteau colorway, which is a teal with bits of green in it. Anyway, I had assumed that that would work for both babies. But my sister told me that Roxy actually sleeps with that blankie in her crib now, and they are going to move that blankie with her when they move her to a toddler bed this summer. So I need to do a new blanket. And then my sister and I also discussed Roxy will need a new sweater for her birthday. And most of the sweaters that I have knit Roxy are kind of girly. So I am going to need to knit a few new sweaters for a little boy. Most of the hats that I knit for when Roxy was a baby were just out of leftover sock yarn. And with the exception of one that was a bright bubblegum pink, I don't think they'll need too many of those. So I have quite a bit in terms of baby knits going on this summer. And because of that, I decided to go ahead and play along with the Loopy U Camp Loopy. If you haven't participated in this before, I did do this last summer. I think I played from home last summer. I have played along in other summers. The Loopy U is a wonderful online shop, and for Camp Loopy, the idea is, quote, kind of a virtual summer camp. And it goes through June, July, and August, and you do a project a month. One in June, one in July, one in August. There are prompts for projects, and there are yardage minimums. And the idea is that you buy some yarn at Loopy each month to do your project. And actually, I've bought, usually they're announced around the 15th of the previous month, so you can purchase your yarn so that everybody can start at the same time. So on May 15th, they announced the prompts for the June Camp Loopy project. The theme this year is Pirate Ship. And the first one is to select some kind of fabric characteristic. They talked about brioche or lace, fair isle, or cables. And you should pick yarn for a project. And actually for the first project, I'm going to do something for myself. That is only because the yardage of the project is 400, the minimum yardage required is 400 yards. And if I knit newborn baby things, they will not be 400 yards. So I am going to work on that. And the baby blanket, every summer there is one large project. Sometimes it's in July, sometimes it's in August. And that requires at least 800 yards. And so I'm going to knit the baby blanket for that one. So I will have baby sweaters and blankets and such on the needles. I also want to participate in Amanda, who is so nitpicky on Twitter and Instagram. She is Wit on Ravelry, and she has the Not a Podcast. And she always does a sock it to summer for how many pairs of socks you can knit in summer. And I believe hers runs June, July, and August as well. I believe it's June 1st through August 31st. So I would like to do a bunch of pairs of socks this summer because my sock yarn stash explodeth, and I have a whole bunch of sock patterns in the queue and beautiful stripy yarns that I would like to use to knit socks. And so I'm going to try and knit some patterned socks this summer, and also use some of the stripies in my stash, which I started with Aunt Gigi. So those are some of the things that will be coming up in the next couple weeks that I will show you, and I will continue on my Cozy Memories blanket. So it should be a big knitting summer, which I'm very excited for. So I managed to pass 18 minutes so far, so let me get a quick sip of tea and then we will go on to spinning. Last week I showed you 2 bobbins of a Hello Yarn braid called Sideways. It was on Polworth, and I was actually saving the bobbins so that I could test the Acreworks Lazy Kate, which I am in the process of testing. And I just realized I didn't bring it in to show you. I will bring it in to show you next week, so I can show you what I have been testing. It is a flat pack Lazy Kate, and I have been loving testing it, but I saved those 2 bobbins. It arrived on Monday, so I immediately started plying, but I went ahead and saved those 2 bobbins. Also, just like a fun little trivia, often that when I show you singles, I show them to you as a center pole ball, where I ply from both sides of the ball. Because I have been using the Kate and testing the Kate, I have been dividing my fiber down the middle and spinning onto 2 bobbins, and I am tickled because both of the spins I am about to show you, I went ahead and 2-plied from 2 bobbins, and I only had a couple yards left on 1 bobbin when I was done. I got the singles really, really equal between the 2 bobbins, which means that I'm spinning super consistently, which I'm in love with, and it means I divided it well as well, but it used to be that even when I divide the fiber in half, I was not super consistent, and so I'd always have 1 bobbin that had a bunch of extra singles, and I felt like they were wasted, which is kind of why I moved to doing the center pole ball, because in the center pole ball, you basically just ply until you are out of yarn. At the center, it just is a loop, and you just finish plying it. So, Sideways was finished. This is beautiful. It is yellows and a little bit of gray and a whole bunch of kind of maroon and burgundy and kind of a it's definitely a purple, and so we also got some like light kind of pink and lavender streaks in here. This is a beautiful skein of probably a sport weight. It was Polworth, so it puffed right up, and it is right around 290 yards. This is not actually going in the shop. This is going to be a prize for the shawl knit along that I talked about. Details are in my Ravelry group. So this prize I'm going to send off to Anne. This will be part of the prize that she and I do together. And she sewed a beautiful project bag that she showed on her podcast this past week. And so this will be going inside that project bag to one lucky winner. The second fiber that I finished this week, and it is still a little bit wet because I didn't wash it till last night. This was a beautiful braid that I got from Liz, who appears with me on the podcast, usually in January. My good friend Liz from Tempe, and her family is here, so she comes to visit me too. And, well, I guess I go to visit her, but she got me a braid of Gherkin's Bucket, which is a local dyer to her, and it was a gorgeous braid with emeralds and, like a spruce colorway. It was called Jeweled Spruce, and it had some little bits of white, and I spun that up this week, and that came out just beautifully. The monitor is not going to do it justice. It is actually like a blue spruce kind of foresty colorway, and then a like bright emerald green, and you can kind of see the contrast, but I just don't think it does it justice. I am going to make this the second prize for the shawl cowl. I really, really love this one. I have not done measurements yet, so I can't tell you, and it is still wet, so it will be another day or two, but I would expect it will be probably 275-ish. And it did not puff up too much. This is superwash merino. This would make a great pair of sport weight socks, or it would make a beautiful shawl or accessory. And like I said, this is going to be the second prize in the shawl knit along. So if you want a chance at winning one of these, you need to check out the shawl knit along. The rules are in my group. The finished objects thread is in the Woolly Wonka Fibers group. And the deal is you can knit any shawl, any yarn, and you will be eligible to win this one. If you choose to knit one of Anne, which is Anne Podlesak, she is Woolly Wonka Fibers. If you choose to knit one of her shawl patterns and submit it to the finished objects thread, you can win this along with the project bag that she created. So these are the prize skeins, which means I'm going to be back to spinning for the shop now. Which brings me to the next one this week. Last weekend was Maryland Sheep and Wool, which is a fiber festival in Maryland that I had the privilege of attending a couple years ago. And so all weekend, people posted wonderful pictures. Like I said, not this weekend, last weekend. People posted wonderful pictures of the fiber markets and the sheep and just all kinds of festival pictures and all kinds of friends pictures. And I was sitting at home feeling a little sorry for myself, which is absolutely, really, I am so spoiled. I should not even be saying that because, of course, I had Knitting in the Heartland and I had Ply Away. But I was sitting at home feeling a little sorry for myself because everybody else was going to the festivals. And one of the vendors who normally goes to Maryland Sheep and Wool, and I guess for some reason did not this year, posted that they were having a 15% 50% off sale for those of us who were staying at home. And you know I'm not supposed to buy fiber. I know I'm not supposed to buy fiber. Yeah, that kind of went out the window. So this week I got this delightful box from Three Waters Farm. They are Three Waters Farm on Etsy. And I saw this braid and it was and it's super cute. It came in this little box and, I saw this braid and it was just so springy and light and I just absolutely wanted it. So I broke down and bought it. This is a Polworth silk braid. It has aqua and hot pink and yellow and it just reminded me of spring and summer and it is called Meet Me on Spring Street. So that is the one that I'm going to spin this week. It will be destined for the shop. So it will be a nice, bright, springy color. And it is Polworth Silk, which is one of my favorite blends of fiber. This is, I'm super excited about this braid. And this is what we'll be doing this week. So that brings me to almost the end of the podcast. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a short one. Last week, I was so excited to hit 700 subscribers on YouTube. And I went ahead and posted that I was going to be giving away, sorry for the crinkling, 2 skeins of, this is Malabrigo lace. And it is in the emerald colorway. Like I said, Malabrigo lace in the emerald colorway. And each skein is 470 yards of baby merino wool, 50 grams. So you have over 900, 470, 9. Yes, you have over 900 yards here to work with. I have knit several shawls out of Malabrigo lace, and it is one of my favorite things to work with. It is so super soft. And I also said that I would throw in a pattern of your choice up to $10 on Ravelry. So we had 37 entrants on YouTube, and I wrote y'all down in the order your comments came in. I just numbered them. We had 37, and I ran the random number generator, and the winner was number 8, which is Favemine, Favemine. So please contact me. You can contact me either on Ravelry, I am Fluffy K there, or if you want to contact me via email, I am thestashbuckler@gmail.com. Please contact me with your name and address so I can send you your prize. I will get that out to you this week with some tea samples. And then if you would like a pattern on Ravelry up to $10, please go ahead and send me the name of that pattern and your ID on Ravelry if you don't message me there, so I can send you that pattern. So congratulations, and thank you all for your wonderful comments. It was so neat to see which episodes you liked the best. There were several people who really liked the episodes I do with Liz. Unfortunately, I don't get to see Liz more often, but every time she comes for like Christmas and New Year's, we do an episode together, and I'm hoping that we will do the same this year. And I will take all of your comments to heart and try and do more of the things that you like. So I think that is it for this week. It was, like I said, kind of a busy week, a little bit productive, and I got through the podcast okay today. Reminder that I will go ahead and post the new giveaway, which is for the Monos Marina, which was beautiful yarn that I had the privilege to test and knit, or sample. The skein that I am raffling off actually was from me though, and I will throw in some beads so you could make a beaded shawl. I will post that on Ravelry, so keep an eye out for that thread. I guess that's about it. I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, and happy sipping until I see you next time. Bye.